Now, let's be real clear. I don't necessarily think they know what's going on yet. There's a lot of weird going on.
What transpired that evening was beyond anyone's prediction. Charlie Kirk appeared on stage 1 minute, flamboyant, self-assured, and bursting with enthusiasm. Then everyone in the audience froze in shock. The lights went down, the music ceased, and the arena fell silent. In a matter of minutes, phones were in use, videos went viral, and social media was inundated with incredulous and confused posts. The entire nation was in a state of shock and conjecture before the night had even ended. Hashtags went viral. Breaking news alerts were unable to keep up with the explosion of timelines. While the same question continued coming up online, reporters stammered through cheesy updates. What actually happened and why now? The mayhem was only beginning. Because the incident itself wasn't the only thing that haunted folks. It was the odd, unpleasant sensation that followed. The silence that followed had a strange quality. Silence was...
Well, it's going to be a heck of a Tuesday for us, guys. Where should we begin? I'll tell you this, something is not right. The political issue of the day is what is happening right now in the world, and what just happened to my friend Charlie Kirk is a battle of sheer evil versus
typical. It felt weighty, like if someone were missing a piece. Turning Point USA released their formal statement hours later, indicating security footage was under review, but nothing was shown publicly. Online, that disparity gave rise to countless theories. Rumors began to circulate that something was off, that perhaps important information was being withheld. The actual argument then began. Interviewed,
literally taken out for the entire world to see. This woman is not grieving anything. She skipped straight to acceptance. This is most definitely PR, and they're using your grief for marketing. And the fact that Charlie Kirk's assassination is still being covered up, she is still walking around with the same security from September 10th, saying she's so excited for the new content that she'll be releasing. Isn't it strange how a widow stepped into the CEO role? She did 3 speeches already, 1 at a stadium. Charlie's family didn't even speak, and she's selling t-shirts. And is already hosting her husband's podcast. Now doing an all-American halftime show with performers. She's not even home with her 2 young children who just lost their dad. Not to mention how they're still trying to cover up her ties in Romania, which if you look at my previous video titled Charlie Kirk was betrayed, gets pretty wild. Anyone who's still buying this up because of Christian forgiveness needs to listen up. This is not strength, it's theater. Christians are not told to ignore evil. Forgiveness is not done in public like this. This is how they package a tragedy to make you feel good instead of asking real questions. They're using Christianity as a prop to make corruption look holy. And they'll weaponize forgiveness because it keeps people quiet.
Was this composed response resilience or a skillfully constructed picture? Critics pounced quickly, claiming that the public answer was overly prepared and polished. Some said it seemed like a stage message of strength was taking the place of real feeling. They contended that this was not religion. This is a performance, branding. Social media was ablaze with those remarks. Deep rifts began to form as the story began to break apart. All of a sudden, people were claiming that the same tale was being simplified. A happy-go-lucky variant to divert attention from awkward inquiries. Resilience, faith, and forgiveness developed into strong defenses. Not merely hopeful symbols, but instruments to steer the discourse. At that point, things
up in a way that, like, okay, you're saying something that's actually factually inaccurate,
right,
according to the narrative. Now, let's be real clear. I don't necessarily think they know what's going on yet. There's a lot of weird shit going on with this.
I know.
Really.
I almost texted you when the Charlie Kirk thing happened because my antennas went up about, they showed the photo of that kid, of the guy that they have, the 22-year-old,
yeah,
whatever. And I was almost going to be like, dude.
This kid had a rifle with a scope. Now, here's where it gets weird. The first images of this rifle with a scope, I swear to God, it looks like he has a composite stock on it. Like, it looks like a modern 30-06 rifle. There was that one guy who was the decoy. All right, so you got this guy who's an older guy who starts yelling out. Didn't he take his pants down? He took his pants down. This guy was at 9/11. He was at the Boston bombings.
All the hits.
He called in a fake bomb at another place. And then he did this at this thing. Right after, so somehow or another, this guy has the state of mind that the moment someone gets shot, he yells out and says, I did it, and takes his pants down or something like that. I don't know exactly what he did. Then, ready for this? He gets arrested for child porn right away.
Right after this happened?
Oh, right away. He's in jail for child porn. Why is that? Well, now you can't.
Things took a drastic turn. Interview, Dozo 3.28, 04.42 that night. A snippet from the Joe the Rogan Experience went viral online. Serious delivery in a calm tone, but only one line stood out and caused a stir on the internet. Joe claimed that the pictures and the original descriptions didn't match, and the information that was made public appeared odd. Everything changed with that one quote. Only in a hurry, what appeared to be a straightforward tale evolved into a complex enigma that completely shocked everyone. What was intended to be a serene, motivational public gathering abruptly turned into the focal point of widespread conjecture. Utah Valley Arena's dazzling lighting, thunderous audience, and buzzing cameras produced the deal setting for something that no one could have predicted. Charlie Kirk stood with assurance as he discussed faith and accountability, utterly oblivious to the fact that this evening would be rerun on every American screen. Then everything was different. The audience froze and the entire arena fell silent. That quiet that makes your heart skip a beat. The question began to come flooding in at that point. Nobody could tell what had just transpired for a second. There was yelling, tables were overturned, phones fell, and mayhem broke out like wildfire. Charlie was hurried away by security, staged while the throng frantically sought refuge. The entire location was secured in a matter of minutes, and rumors quickly became videos that went viral and dominated the internet. After attending for a brief discussion about values, the students turned into live in real time. Reporters broadcast their perplexity and anxiety to the world. Online, the tale spread more quickly than any official statement was able to match. All of a sudden, a new name gained popularity: 22-year-old Tyler James Robinson. No one was aware of his identity or his involvement. No explanation, no motivation, no context. When officials attempted to, his silence made everything much weird when I questioned him. How have we progressed since then? I pardoned the young fellow, applause, which was September 21st, and now we receive this 7 days later. Nothing is altering. But first, let me say that we're not uncomfortable. We're not strange. We're not flinching. We will not pretend to be tweeting on his behalf. It's tone-deaf and somewhat unsettling, and those that engage in such behavior are morbidly off. Hey, what are we going to be doing? There are now 5 extra episodes per week, so simply let the team know and see to it that that occurs. This for 3 hours, followed by 2 hours of podcasting. There is a feeling that something is flawed. It feels incorrect. Something seems strange. And I'm making a lot of effort. It's difficult when things like this are presented to us not to over-speculate. It simply isn't typical. It doesn't feel at ease. We seem to be watching a performance, in my opinion. We almost feel as though we are watching a movie, with the plot developing as it does before our very eyes. And it's because of stuff like this that I believe Charlie Kirk's murder was so much greater beyond our wildest dreams. To make matters even more confusing, his phone was completely blank. No communications, no pictures, no call logs, nothing at all. It resembled a fresh start. And that void in the digital world served as fuel for countless crazy theories. How did an unidentified young man end up being the enigmatic protagonist at the core of one of the most discussed times in the nation? Then followed the widely shared video that completely altered the tone of the narrative. Erica, the audience, erupted as Kirk, unflappable in the spotlight, looked directly into the camera and said, "I forgive him," in cheers. Many were crying, some were perplexed, and some were moved. September 21st was the date, and in a week, the whole story had changed. What had seemed like a tragedy began to resemble a public play or live performance, taking place, scene by scene. Podcasts discussed it. Theories were piling up by the hour, and comment sections were blowing up. Some spectators commented that it didn't feel natural, as though everything had been meticulously planned, written screenplay. It was that unsettling sense that led many to begin to wonder. Perhaps there was more to this narrative than just passion. Perhaps it was far larger and more strategic than anyone initially thought. Whispers began to fly all around. Was this merely a haphazard sequence of events or a more complex political maneuver concealed in plain view? Some even questioned whether it was a meticulous intended function or something that the general public wasn't yet expected to comprehend. Promises of complete openness started to ring hollow because each new report seemed to contradict the one before it. Distinct timelines appeared. Witness accounts diverged, and video footage was inexplicably cut or vanished altogether. One day, headlines said that it was all the work of one person. There were rumors that other people were involved the next time. Reporters began referring to it as a coincidence that doesn't make sense. Makes sense. However, it wasn't the evidence that caught everyone's attention as they awaited concrete proof. It was its absence. Later, authorities declared that they had discovered a crucial item related to the incident that evening. She's strengthening the theory that he is at fault. Anything else that spoke to every Christian, regardless of a court appearance, thus they are expected to be tolerant. Additionally, just subtly in a very direct or indirect way, he is culpable. He succeeded. He is accountable. Erica, however, pardons him. And now that she is the TPUSA champion, she is hurrying to install all of these additional satellites and extensions.clubs everywhere. In essence, they are attempting to position her as the next president. They're basically thinking, hey, this is a woman we could set up maybe in 8 or 12 years. Yes, nevertheless. They will subsequently be capable of simply reaffirm the Judeo-Christian partnership and the fact that Israel was fantastic and that Charlie completely ignored the 5 weeks because he loved Jews and all of these things. Prior to his passing, when he started to genuinely inquire about this and mention that, for a split second it felt like answers were at last approaching. Then everything exploded once more as the first pictures were posted online. People right away observed that what they were witnessing did not correspond with what they had heard from others inside the arena. The hue, even the setup and design seemed strange. The suspicions became louder as more people made comparisons. In a few hours, hashtags burst and timelines, theories, and side-by-side screenshots were all over the internet. Authorities stated for security considerations the entire video could not be made public. However, that one sentence, security reasons, became Ignite 1,000 online arguments. Amateur detectives started examining each leaked frame, determining angles, lights, the flow of people, and even reverberations of sound. Some said they discovered odd cuts, missing seconds, or reactions that didn't match exactly. They charted every light change and pause throughout the stage's entire arrangement. The stage's noise from the audience, similar to digital detectives looking for hints. In fact, even the mainstream news sources that typically remained cautious and began posing the same query. What is the public being kept in the dark about? In the interim, Erica Kirks remained composed, almost too composed, in the face of all the mayhem. As everyone else yelled, conjectured, and made demands, responses, she whispered of serenity, faith, and strength. That composure was admirable to others. For others, it felt practiced, as though it were a portion of a larger presentation. On the internet, one writer provided an excellent summary. When a single voice, was this story shaped before it ever began? Is the question that must be asked when one remains silent and the other turns into a symbol. Blew up on all social media sites. People stopped merely conversing all of a sudden. They were wondering how the story was told about what had transpired. Then the internet halted for a moment. Joe Rogan made the decision to speak up. He didn't speak in a dramatic or furious tone. It was stable, acute, and analytical. People pay attention when Joe speaks. Additionally, this time, his message chilled everyone in the conversation. As if he knew something that others didn't, he was quiet but cutting. On his Joe Rogan didn't need a lengthy tirade for his podcast. The world went crazy after only a few brief phrases. Rewind hits millions repeatedly, attempting to capture each slight pause and tone shift. This seems strange in some way. Tail, he murmured. Nor as a charge nor as a defeat, but as a serene, cautious observation that came as a shock. His voice was 10 times more powerful because of its restraint. Rogan didn't outright criticize or point fingers. He only posed inquiries, but they mirrored those of millions have been whispering already. What caused a portion of the event video to disappear from the public eye? For what reason were witness testimonies contradictory? What caused the official story to change so frequently in a short period of time? Above all, why were none of Charlie's closest friends and family members making public statements? Not even Erica Kirk? Everyone, it seemed as if the inquiry was a silent challenge, a spotlight directed at the hush that surrounded the entire scenario. Rogan's, there was no anger in the tone. It was cold, doubtful, and eerily quiet. That calmness crept into the listeners' thoughts, causing them to doubt what they believed to be true. In a matter of hours, there was a word for creepy doubt. Kirk, Erica. All of a sudden, her name was all over trending charts, hashtags, and headlines. Overnight, she rose to the top of the internet's search results. However, while the world looked for answers, Erica disappeared from view. Nothing on social media, no interviews. Then suddenly an unexpected announcement surfaced online. The appointment of Erica Kirk as the new CEO was confirmed by Turning Point USA. The internet world was split in two at once. Some praised her as a symbol and referred to her action as a daring display of fortitude and leadership. Others asserted that it seemed more like a calculated change in power, a calculated action encased in faith and feeling. Erica's old videos came back to life. conversations in which she discussed devotion, fate, and divine moment, and they quickly took over Reddit, YouTube, and TikTok. Comment sections become open battlegrounds. She was hailed by one group as a woman overcoming hardship, while answers were sought by the other side. What caused the abrupt promotion? What is actually happening here? After that, the stress only increased. The episode with Rogan aired. The following morning, rumors circulated that she had fled Arizona, but no one was able to verify it. However, perception was more important than facts in the internet era. Flight logs, screenshots, and unverified evidence flooded feeds worldwide, and people accepted it as gospel. Overnight, Erica Kirk ceased to be merely a human. She turned into a representation of mystery and quiet, and questions that remain unsolved. Her fans pleaded for moderation when social media went awry, stating she didn't deserve the online commotion since she was grieving in private. Critics, however, didn't believe it. They quarreled with her calmness appeared too flawless, too composed, as if it were a component of something far larger. For numerous individuals, it was no longer considered grace when Erica remained silent. On its own, it became a statement. Her silence was more powerful than words, akin to a message concealed in plain view. While some viewed it as avoidance, others saw it as strength. However, the mystery only got deeper around her. Everyone claimed to be standing up for the truth as online arguments raged. However, nobody was able to agree on what was the real truth. One question remained in the midst of all the shouting. Was Erica present? Averting the mayhem or fleeing something else? Only she was aware. Additionally, that every timeline was filled with the same question, which led to an even greater flood of conjecture. Due to Joe Rogan's remarks, it hadn't been the conclusion. The only thing that lighted the fuse was them. The actual soon after, there was an uproar when a little-known podcast abruptly revealed it had fresh proof. According to the host, Rogan alluded to a series of leaked texts, communications purportedly exchanged between Charlie Kirk's close friend and an event staff member. It only took something to blast that the internet is open. The purported screenshots suddenly surfaced. No trace, no metadata, and no verified source of their origin. They did, however, circulate more quickly than any official declaration could. The messages were fractured, broken, and filled with mysterious words about security, technological problems, timing, and even an odd warning advising him not to go on. I adore you, Erica, applause. Erica, I love you. Just a few words were sufficient to start a complete digital firestorm. Investigators on TikTok and self-described cyber detectives jumped right in. They started decoding each and every word and punctuation, contrasting timestamps, usernames, and writing styles. Some even asserted that they had established links back to the event staff at Turning Point USA, but once more nothing was confirmed. Others slowed down previous video from the arena, claiming to have heard a background voice or an enigmatic sound that hadn't been observed previously. The internet went into full meltdown mode in a matter of hours. The comment sections were crazy. Half of the half said it was all coincidence, while the other half believed it was a cover-up. There are hundreds of rival theories were all over YouTube comment chains, Twitter spaces, and Reddit threads. The narrative, which is already disorganized and packed with information, had gotten totally out of hand. And Joe Rogan, the one who initiated it, remained through it all, utter silence. Nothing, no interviews, no explanations. Only his silence increased people's obsession. He only responded with one measured line when he did. I'm not claiming that possessed proof. There's more to it than that, that's all. Only one sentence. However, it caused a global internet freeze, based on 5-second sound snippets and viral videos. Mysteries like those strike like lightning. Reasonable, will be reliable. The participants. We shall therefore be consistent. She actually wishes for people to comprehend this. And that's what makes her discussion of this in relation to some of her other topics intriguing and unique, discussed previously. In this case, the body language is different from what we initially observed. Initially, she was interacting with the others in the room, exchanging tales, discussing Charlie, and feeling content. She is now discussing carrying on Turning Point's legacy, Charlie Kirk and the USA. This is intense. I believe she has strong feelings about this. As a result, you no longer perceive the warmth and smiles in the same manner. And that isn't being judgmental. To believe that's simply a difference in her level of intensity and seriousness about what she's doing. Analysis of it was unabated. It was played back in slow motion on podcasts. Breakdowns were made by TikTokers. Think pieces were written by journalists who were all attempting to understand, without revealing any fresh information, what he truly meant. The rumor machine was fueled by Rogan's subtle hint. Influencers, reporters, and anonymous accounts all become amateur investigators in a matter of hours, each asserting that they had located the missing component. However, as they dug deeper, everything became more hazy. Lines between theory and reality vanished entirely. The focus has shifted from responses. It was about preserving the questions alive, sustaining the electric buzz of skepticism that made it impossible to turn away from the narrative. At the perfect moment, an image halted everything when the digital storm reached its loudest pitch. Kirk, Erica was back, collected, cool, and uncannily calm. She entered the stage as if someone assuming the spotlight that she knew was hers. However, this was not a resurgence. It had the feel of a confrontation. At a large Turning Point USA event, Erica arrived dressed head to toe in sleek black, sophisticated yet solemn, as if every tiny aspect had been meticulously prepared. No tears, no grin, her expression remained composed and controlled. The crowd went composed and controlled. The crowd went quiet as all of the room's cameras panned in her direction. As soon as the light struck her face, millions were observing each breath she took. A single lifted eyebrow, a slow inhalation. Even the slightest movement of her gaze made headlines. Videos were uploaded immediately, slowed down, and broken down frame by frame, by evidence in a digital courtroom via frame. Then, after a few minutes, she finally said something. Her tone was steady, as if practiced. "We appreciate everyone who continues to support the mission. Together we got begun. We'll proceed. We're not going to stop." That was it. No reference to Rogan, no reference to the hearsay, no protest, no defense, only that same calm, quiet assurance that had everyone speculating about its true meaning. There was a heartbeat halt among the crowd. Then there was a loud cheer from everyone in the room. The response went viral on the internet immediately. It was dubbed her rebirth moment by some. The triumph of a female figure overcoming hardship. Fans praised her strength, her serenity, her faith. Skeptics, however, didn't believe it. This statement didn't seem sincere to them. It was a production, a performance. She wasn't speaking from emotion, according to commenters. She was reading from a teleprompter or even a script. Others asserted that she wasn't just staring straight into the camera, all that she was communicating with someone in secret. She alone was aware. Millions of people shared the video after it was released. It eventually became evident that while everyone observed the identical scene, their interpretations differed. New hashtags began to appear, trending in a matter of hours. Kirk files and Erica's whereabouts, and they dominated social media for several days. New threads evaluating everything went viral on Reddit. Her attire, tone, breathing, and even the one Bible passage she said while performing. One widely shared comment encapsulated it. Exactly. This isn't the image of a heartbroken widow. It's a calculated make a move. In a matter of hours, that post alone received tens of thousands of shares. Then came the flight that fans began referring to as the mystery flight. A blog that records private aircraft reported that a plane belonging to one of Erica's business partners had reportedly departed Arizona within hours of Rogan's podcast before traveling to Idaho. The theories persisted, despite the fact that no one could verify whether it was true. On the internet, every suggestion became a headline, and rumors began to circulate more quickly than any credible source could follow. At that moment, it was no longer about the facts. It has to do with perception. Erica Kirk had become more than a person. She was now a symbol, a mystery that captivated the attention of the internet. The internet was in disarray by dawn, once more. All of a sudden, Erica Kirk was reported missing. With headlines that screamed terms like escaped, tabloids went crazy and fled into hiding, despite the fact that no outlet was able to verify anything. Reporters freely acknowledged that they didn't be aware of her whereabouts for over a week. And that mystery by itself turned out to be the strongest evidence against her in the eyes of the general public. She remained silent hour after hour. The story became louder and darker. Tension was apparently boiling out within Turning Point USA. Insiders who were anonymous began to leak information to the media. Rumors of rearranged meetings, erased internal documents, and employees abruptly departing for private reasons. Others sent cryptic statements on the internet that they supported Erica and that the truth will keep her safe. Although it was intended to sound encouraging, many people saw it more as a warning than a consolation. Meanwhile, Joe Rogan has no intention of giving up. He claimed on his upcoming podcast that he had been inundated with material from those who said they attended the event in Utah. Although he withheld names, His production team acknowledged that they were actively going over the submitted material. All it took for the internet to go crazy was that. Within minutes, TikTok was filled with video of Rogan's quote, altered with strong background music and phrases such, the last puzzle piece is in place, and the truth is emerging. Each post drew millions of views. Erica was under unprecedented strain, and the hype was relentless. Media outlets began making frantic requests for interviews. Influencers provided secure platforms for her to voice her opinions. Nevertheless, she stated nothing. Then the action that rocked the internet once more came. Suddenly, Erica's Instagram was illuminated by a single post. Simple black lettering on a white backdrop with no captions or hashtags, 3 words, trust instead of fear. The post erupted in less than an hour with more than 1 million remarks. The other half were heartfelt prayers and expressions of support. The suspicion was there in the other half and inquiries. Arguments regarding whether or not she was speaking erupted around each letter of that little phrase, playing the game or telling the truth. Something uncanny emerged as the online maelstrom raged, become evident. The neutrality of silence has changed. It was interpreted as a declaration of authority. When the truth comes, being silent no longer serves as protection when there is too much noise. It turns into a proclamation, and that's precisely how people witnessed it. At this point, nobody was aware of the actual truth. People were no longer seeking facts. They were pursuing emotions. Utah and Charlie Kirk were no longer the focus of the story. It had changed into an electronic battleground of interpretations. Every group created a unique account of the events, complete with heroes, villains, and intentions. The most outrageous aspect was that the truth was now self-evident. All it had to do was seem plausible. For each TikTok, each tweet and podcast clip became a new piece in an ever-expanding puzzle. However, rather than joining them, people repeatedly selected the passages that most closely reflected their feelings. And in the center of all that mayhem, Erica Kirk, still quiet and composed. She did not lash out, she did not run, and she did not protect herself. Her silence turned into the loudest sound in a world that was clamoring for answers. She did not defend herself. She gave no explanation. She just remained quiet, collected, and nearly definitely so. While experts debated on television, analysts dissected timeframes, and millions of people sought to fill in all the blanks online. Erica Kirk never her tone altered. Her silence took on a life of its own, acting as a mirror reflecting back whatever people previously thought. Her followers saw that stillness as a sign of fortitude, honor, and trust in the face of adversity. Skeptics, however, saw it as a tactic, an ideal-created image aimed to manipulate the narrative. The wild aspect was that the world grew louder the less she spoke. Each and every other spoke more when there was a pause, and her name spread even more quickly each time she vanished from view. From a distraught widow, Erica Kirk had become a representation of the digital age, where 1,000 words cannot rock the globe as loudly as stillness. As the online community divided into believers and Erica stood in the center, solid in the midst of doubters, between faith and distrust, turbulence, serenity in the midst of a tempest, and eyes full of unreadable things. The enigma surrounding she had grown bigger than the event that started it all. What started as an unexpected night had become a contemporary passion, a constant worldwide dialogue that simply would not stop. Some others think she's hiding for her own protection. Some believe she's shielding herself from criticism from the outside world. Some people speculate that she could know something that the rest of the world doesn't, not yet prepared to hear. However, one thing cannot be denied. Erica Kirk is more than a widow no more. She has come to represent the era of knowledge, when questions are more powerful than solutions, and whole platforms might tremble in silence. What began as a private tragedy has evolved into the newest unresolved chapter in American history. A tale with no concrete evidence, and one no both can be completely refuted. It is referred to as a crisis of confidence by the media. People refer to it as a truth nightmare. However deep, ultimately, it reflects how each individual selects the version of reality that resonates with them, and how we are all reflected in it. Joe Rogan's remarks continue to reverberate over the din. The numbers don't add up. It is brief and straightforward, but it has become the catchphrase of a generation that is drowning in too much data and not enough certainty. Due to the fact that since everything can be altered, filtered, and distorted, the only thing that seems real is uncertainty. And perhaps that's the reason the world is captivated by Erica's narrative. No longer is it solely about her or even Charlie Kirk. It concerns reality itself, as well as how, in the digital age, we combat, distort, and mold it. When the truth turns into a show, when suffering transforms into substance, and when a message is not as important as quiet, Erica Kirk becomes more than a headline. She turns into the unavoidable question mark. Justice is no longer awaited by the world. It's awaiting clarification. One word, one instant, and one indisputable fact that may finally bring all the disparate parts together fit. All eyes remain fixed on the same stage till that time. The one that shuddered that night, although it didn't actually go dark. Because perhaps the really what transpired is hardly a mystery. We may be unable to stop watching because of it. Perhaps the truth was never lost at all. Perhaps it's I'm still waiting for someone with the courage to actually listen. What do you think then? Is Erica Kirk is it a victim, a survivor, or something else? Leave a comment below with your opinions. Click like, share, and sign up. And since this story is far from over, I'll see you on the next one.